This is Michael McKeon, a.k.a. Morris Fletcher, a.k.a. Chuck McGill. You know who I am. But it's time for Inside the Gilliverse with Eric Broadbent.
You're watching Inside the Gilliverse, talking all things Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Brought to you by Stewart Travel Guitars. See the incredible stowaway travel guitar at stewartguitars.com. Also brought to you by Idea Bench, makers of hot rod-inspired pedal boards and pedal board accessories at ideabench.com. Microphones for Inside the Gilliverse are brought to you by Rode Microphones. Now, please welcome your host, Eric Broadbent.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for episode 19 of Inside the Gilliverse. As always, where we talk everything from Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. My name is Eric Broadbent, and it comes with great pleasure tonight to welcome tonight's guest. You recognize him possibly from Better Call Saul as Ernesto, or Ernie for those that are closer to him, actor John Christian Love. My friend, how are you?
I am excellent.
That's good, man. That's good. Nice to have you here.
Wonderful.
That's
magnificent.
Man, so much positivity right off the start of the show. If that's the way it's going to go for the rest of the evening, I think all of us are in for a treat. We need more positive energy as we wind out 2020.
Yes, I am so ready for 2021.
You know what?
So ready for it.
Me too. And I was hearing on the radio that some people are predicting that could be even worse. I can't see that being possible. So fingers crossed. You know, I think we're going to have some vaccines for everybody across the world coming early in the new year, and we can get out there and start working in the real world and maybe seeing some concerts again. And, you know, people like yourself that want to get back to working behind the camera, you know, in front of the camera, behind the camera, everywhere in between, you know, it's going to be a welcome thing for sure.
Or this is George Orwell and it's 1984.
I know, right? We just don't know. It's crazy. Well, we're gonna have a lot of great questions for you throughout the evening, especially from our viewers here in the live chat. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm gonna go just say hi to a bunch of them and let you know who's in the chat right now. We have Michelle DeMatteis is in here right now. Karina is here. Let me see. Ursula.
Hi, Michelle.
Ursula Singleton. Lisa Love. And I hope I don't skip anybody. Let me see here. I know I scrolled a little too far and I didn't get everybody earlier there. Let's see who else we got jumping in. Lisa is here. We've got some fan questions right off the top as well, too. Arctic Sakai is here. Very, very nice. Marion Art is here as well, too. Nice.
Marion.
Jennifer Stevens, nice to see you. Mrs. Wexler, she did that cute caricature of you today, which is great. Lori Yu is here.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, this is great. My friend Sixstream Brian from Canada, he's here as well, too. Musician and a YouTuber. It's good to see you, Brian. Kay is here. Let me see who else we might be missing here. Daniel is here. Ernie, Price of Reason's here. All right, Josh Gordon. All right, so I'm going to leave it off there for a second, but there's a couple of fan questions right off the top. One is from Karina. She's one of our YouTube members. We have a membership option on the channel. People can join. She has a good question. She says, how many takes or times did you have to sing that Bonnie Tyler song, Total Eclipse of the Heart, for the karaoke song in the episode Winner? I heard they filmed you doing the whole song. Do you laugh every time you hear that song now?
You know, actually, I do laugh. We filmed that episode. I mean, not an episode. We filmed that scene. I want to say we did it 3 times, but one time in its entirety. And it was like, this time we're going through the whole song. So have fun, do whatever you want. And here I am, because I'm always nervous that I'm doing a bad job. I think it's just, I don't know if it's just every actor or just me, but I'm like, oh man, if I mess up, I'm fired. So I got to get this right, you know? And we do the full song. And after we finish, everybody laughs. And it was supposed to make it into the DVD. However, for copyright issues, it didn't make it, which I was looking forward to seeing the whole song played out, because it was... It was fun. It's a lot of fun.
They would have had to have licensed that song, and just to do it for you know, special features in DVD, probably it had a lot of cost involved, right?
Yeah. So I don't think I'll ever see the full thing. Neither will you, unfortunately. But
that was just a really good nature.
It was a lot of.
It was just so much fun. A second comment question. This is from Lisa Love. She says, first question I have for John would be, I love how Jimmy and Kim call him Ernie, while all the other stuffy lawyers like Chuck and Howard call him Ernesto. Was that done intentionally?
Ernesto!
Totally good.
Yeah.
That's a good Chuck McGill.
Mainly Chuck.
Yeah.
Hamlin's called me Ernie before. Everybody, I think, respected me enough to call me Ernie, with the exception of Chuck.
Yeah. That was great. And the character of Ernie having to deal with Chuck, I mean, honestly, just grocery shopping alone, was something that it's always like when you go to the grocery store, I blame guys sometimes myself. Like, I'll go to the grocery store and I got a list of things to get, and it's like, uh-oh, she didn't say if it was non-sweetened or sweetened, or it's like, what do? And you panic. So imagine what Ernie would be doing in a grocery store when he can't find the exact thing that Chuck wants. There's probably a panic moment there. Obviously, we don't see those things on camera for the most part, or we never see them. But it'd be a real magic moment to see Ernie have a nervous breakdown in aisle 3 of the supermarket trying to find Chuck's, produce or whatever. It's hilarious. But here's a
that scene. Oh, go ahead.
No, you please, you go ahead. Go right ahead. Continue.
I was just gonna say that scene with me and Chuck I was literally dying laughing inside. Although it didn't make the whole thing, but he was like, I'd like a gallon of soy milk, and also he was just naming all kinds of stuff that he wanted from his grocery list. And I was trying to hold it in and not laugh while we were in the middle of the take because it was funny. And I didn't laugh, but that scene was really funny. Yeah. Like working with him in person, like when you see it in person firsthand, it's just, I couldn't ask for anything better,
I know.
Live it in the moment.
You and I were talking off the air before the show started about Michael McKean. I mentioned he was on the show here, a few episodes back. And just, the roles he's had. I mean, such an iconic actor, very, very nice gentleman, down to earth. Between takes, what was he like between takes? Was there conversations at all, or was there not time for that, or?
When I first started my career, I went the hard route that, a lot of people go, and they start off in background and stuff. And I guess that kind of rolled over into, on screen, they like, don't bother the actors, let them. And so I kind of, I'll say hello, goodbye, and all that type of stuff. Or if we're in the van on the way in the shuttle or something, and there's a comment, or if we're in hair and makeup, then maybe I'll say a little here and there. I've talked to Chuck a little bit because I'm always singing in my trailer. And walking to the shuttle one day, I was singing Sam Cooke, and he had some recommendations on songs. And so, yeah, but other than that, I kind of let everybody have their time. I know their plates is loaded. They get an episode. We got to film an episode within 9 shooting days. And so it's the whole script, and I don't want to, break their concentration. So I tend to.
Oh, I get it. Very respectful. Very respectful.
I'll go play hacky sack with the crew.
No, it's very respectful for sure, and that's the thing too. I've seen some of your interviews, like Reddit interviews and things like that as well. You're talking like everyone between, a lot of times, especially people like Bob Odenkirk. Between scenes, he's conducting some business. He's always very busy on the go, so very mindful of everyone's time, right? So, and that's probably why you fit in so well as well too. People do respect that for sure. There was a comment here from Bob Rich. Go back, see if I can find it. He says, John really enjoyed being a stand-in for an
Bob Rich!
Yeah, for a short film you directed. I honestly thought you demonstrated a true natural gift for directing. Wondering when you'll be directing again. COVID providing, do you have anything on the horizon coming up?
I'm working on some scripts and stuff. Because, who knows when I'll act again? I don't know, and I've had several friends, you should write your own material and direct it, and, and go along those avenues and show other, gifts that you have, outside of acting, because a lot of people tell me I should do comedy. However, I just tend to not do comedy. However, I feel like Ernesto is kind of comical, but I don't know. So to answer your question, Bob, which you're great, by the way, I love you. Soon.
Good.
God willing, soon, and very soon.
Good. Well, I'll keep fingers crossed for you as well, too. Everybody wants to get back to work, and I'm looking forward to see what this is going to be for sure, too. Mrs. Wexler says, question, do you think Ernie will try to become a great lawyer like Kim and Jimmy did once they left the mailroom? Yeah, once you get out of that, escape the nest, so to speak, onto greatness. Is Ernie going to wash his hands at that, do you think? And I know we're just guessing here, just, playing a guessing game and hypothesizing. But do you think Ernie will want to become a professional lawyer?
I've done a lot of speculation on Ernie.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fans who were like, "Oh, Ernesto, Gustavo, like, what's going on here?" And then I, as an actor, you always read into it, probably overread things. But when I sung "Total Eclipse of the Heart," I'm like, "Oh, so is Ernesto the dark side? Is this a total eclipse of his heart?" And there's a website called LPH is Hiring.
Okay.
And there's one position still left to be hired that hasn't been hired yet, which is the executive liaison to Gustavo. And I'm hoping that, Ernesto fit those requirements, which I think in the job description he does, but I don't know.
Wouldn't that be something, man? That's
I don't know. I think
we'll probably play the guessing game a lot. We'll probably play the guessing game a lot today because
I don't know.
You never know, right? We'll have to see. We still got a season. We still have one season to go.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. Let me see. There's another good one here as well too.
Yeah.
Was it Lisa? No, Lisa. Let me see. It was Josh. Oh, Josh Gordon. Josh says, I kind of think Ernie is the phone number that Saul gave Francesca. That's a possibility. People are thinking Kim Wexler. It could be Ernesto. Who knows? Because obviously, when Breaking Bad was written, we're going back now in time to find out who that number is going to be and meet at a certain time, a certain place, 3:00, whatever it was. Never know. Could be Ernesto was on that business card. Could be.
Mm-hmm.
Is Ernesto going to show up on time if he has
Very
to?
Well. Could be.
You never know, right? I was telling you off the air as well, too, and I'll tell our viewers as well. The other night, a couple nights back, I was telling Tom Schnauz you were coming on the show, and he said to give some love to you, and he said he had a lot of great time working with you on the set. Maybe you can share with our viewers, you had some scenes with Tom, and maybe you can, not what Tom, what Tom's working on set, obviously, directing and writing and producing and all that good stuff. Was there any memories you have of Tom that were fun to share?
I tend to stay under the radar. I just love being in their presence, and I'll just stand around. I'll watch. If I'm not in the scene, then I'll, stand close to Video Village or whatever, or I'm always like, can I go to set? Can I go? But Tom is a person in general. I've shared a couple of conversations out to him January, which was really hard. And we needed to raise funeral costs. And so I reached out to everybody, and I reached out to Tom. He retweeted my tweet asking for donations. He donated. Then I turned around a couple of months later and was like, "Hey, Tom, there's this NBC directing shadow program, and I need a recommendation letter. Would you be willing?" Kind of just went out on a limb, and it was kind of scary because I'm like, "Oh my gosh, these are my employers, and I'm asking them for a recommendation letter." And he wrote a wonderful recommendation letter for me, which I really appreciate. I can go on and on. I'm about to go in tears, but he's always just been very, supportive, and it's hard to find that in Hollywood or whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm. What a nice guy, right?
But the whole crew, from Vince to Peter to Tom to just the cast, the crew, like it's a world class crew. I tell you, it's amazing.
It's
just to be able to work with these guys and be like, yeah, I work with them. If I never work again,
this is a pinnacle.
Working with those guys.
That's the thing. I think it's probably an easy gig, not an easy gig for acting. Of course, acting is never easy for most people, but it's an easy gig to become a fan of the show, even though you're an employee of the show.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. A couple more comments coming in here. We have
100%.
Yeah, we have Warren Royal jumping in. I was on a call with him today. He was talking some fun stuff. Warren Royal runs bobbleheads.com and Royal Baubles. They make these really cool figures here. Check them out. Gustavo, we're just talking about Gustavo.
I want one of those.
There you go. They were fantastic. I got.
You say Royal Baubles?
Yeah. Even got the Hector here.
That is so cool with the bell.
That's right, the original bell with the exact sound sample from the show. It was nice to see Warren here as well. Here's Average Joe's jumping in. Teresa Martinez, love your character, she says. And a question from Marion Art says, what do you think Ernie thinks about Chuck's condition? Does he think it's legit or just goes with it? That's a very good question because, Ernie's looked at Jimmy a few times, especially in the hospital, when they had to bring Chuck in. And you could tell there's some speculation. Does Ernie think, I mean, this is your opinion, and maybe some of it is factual things from what you'd see in scripts and have noted in scripts. Does Ernie believe it's a real condition, or is it all in his head?
I think Ernie is under the radar and just is there to do his job, not ask any questions. His boss tells him the sky is purple, then he'll look at it and say, the sky is purple. I think he just, his friendship with Jimmy, was kind of, Jimmy walked out, so they sent him in. He's still close to Jimmy, so it's kind of, he's just stuck in the middle. So he can't be like, dismiss it because that's his employer. But at the same time, he's like, I kind of want to dismiss it because Saul is my friend, but I can't do that. So I'm just going to be the neutral party in it. And boom.
Yeah, that was.
Here we are.
I know that's one of your a lot of the fans' favorite lines as well too. You're so stressed. When I say you, I mean Ernesto was. Ernie was stressed.
I missed the mailroom.
I know. Just get me back there, right? And that's horrible too because the mailroom is probably the bottom of the pit of almost hell, so to speak. For anyone aiming to be up at the top of in the law firm. When you want to go back to the mailroom, then that doesn't say a lot about the current situation. Lisa Love said, Andrea is here as well too. Andrea Nowak is here. Lisa Love says, Ernie is such a wonderful character and always came across to me as a very kind and compassionate person, especially when dealing with Chuck's condition. So yeah, for sure. And I think, I see a lot of Ernesto, and I don't know a lot about you personally, but just things I've seen you do and just speaking with you, one-on-one here, I see a lot of similarities. And Ernesto Ernie is a little shy, and you're a little bit shy yourself as well too. So, I think there's a lot of you in that character too. Do you see that?
Yeah, there's a lot of me in the character, but then there's not.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it because all of my friends and people who watch the show, like, oh my gosh, I watched that and that's nothing like you. So I'm like, oh, well, how am I? And then I start to ask myself that question. Am I a narcissist if I'm this way? And you guys are saying I'm completely opposite. So, no, I just think, that's just my take, with life is, compassion and caring for other people, even when they can't see it to themselves to care enough for you, and I think that's kind of where Ernesto falls. He's given a job and, he tries to do it the best he can under the given circumstances, regardless of Chuck's character and demeanor. It's like, okay, look, I'm going to do my job. And they didn't have Fuji this time. So I got you these instead. I hope that's okay. Like he's considerate. And I think that's just a character that everybody clings to because that's what the world needs more of is people who care and are compassionate, especially in, these times that we're in now. It's like, you go to the grocery store and everybody's fighting over toilet paper, and, you know, and all these things. And it's like, okay, you know what? Here, you take it.
Yeah.
You can have my toilet paper. It makes you okay.
Well, that's a good motto to live by for sure.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm a humble person. I like to believe, and, you know, I'm not rich. There's a lot of people think actors are rich, and people are like, you've been on TV and all this. I do Instacart from time to time, and I get customers all the time who are like Chuck or worse than Chuck. You know, they'll be in Instacart shouting, you know, I don't want that. Make sure it's this way. Make sure. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing you a service. It's not really much pay that I'm getting for this, but you know what? All right, I'll do it. This is what you want. I'll do my best to accommodate what you want, and that'll be the end of it. And
now, what is
it's just life.
I
think the writers do a good job.
What is Instacart? Is that like an Uber, like Uber Eats kind of thing? Do you deliver food?
You say, what is Instacart?
Yeah.
It's like Uber, except I go to the grocery store like Sprouts or, you know, Sam's or Smith's, Kroger, in some places. And I do the grocery shopping for people, and then I drop the groceries off at their house for them. So the same thing that Ernesto does, going grocery shopping for Chuck, delivering the groceries to Chuck in real life. And yeah, you know, it keeps me busy, keeps me grounded, and you know, I deal with customers, you know, who want one thing but don't want one thing, but then add 20 other things to the list that wasn't on the list.
Yeah.
And, you know, don't tip you. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Good customer service skills come in handy in life for sure. Working in any kind of retail or customer service is good education for anyone. You know, I've had to do it many years. I've worked in retail. I've worked in support. I've worked in, tech support is the worst, because you have people calling you when they're just mad, and they need to direct their anger at the first person that picks up that phone. And I guess the best way to do it is just kill them with kindness and turn them around as quickly as possible. But technically, I mean, I guess for the fans out there, if they're in the area, they could technically have Ernesto bring them apples. Technically, couldn't they? They could do it.
Could.
Yep.
You know, it's funny though, because sometimes it's always weird. Like when restaurants was open, and I would go to restaurants, you know, every now and then I would see somebody sitting at a table in the corner somewhere, and they'd be like, as if I don't see them, and they're like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm uncomfortable. Okay, it's time to go. Y'all ready to go? It's time to go. You know, or I'll go somewhere and people just be looking at me, and I never understand why people just be staring. I'm like, do they know me or something?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, maybe they realize who I am. It's like, oh, Ernesto just delivered me apples. Was that really him? Or was it somebody that looked like him? It probably was me.
That's pretty cool. That's cool. But it's good.
Except I delivered them Granny Smith.
Yeah. But that's good. No, that's good. Here's another good comment / question from Lisa Love. She says, what are John's theories and predictions about season 6 that he might be able to share with us? So that's the thing, right? There's the big question, obviously, is, you know, what's going to happen to several characters like Lalo, Nacho, Kim, Howard, right? And then, you know, there's other characters as well, too. But that's the big forefront things. Do you, as a fan, take away the fact that you're an actor on the show, as a fan, do you have theories what may happen to some of these characters?
You know, I've gone through a lot of fan theories, and I feel like Kim is still in Saul's life. I don't know, but I feel like she's still there somewhere, especially now that we know that, you know, he's done with Cinnabon and tired of that life and ready to come back. And I think it'll really wrap up Kim and where she is, and we'll see, you know, something along those lines. As far as Nacho, you know, I feel like he's gonna die, but you know, oh no, I really don't know anything, because I don't want anybody to be like, oh, he said it and not get in big trouble because something happened. You know, no, I don't know anything.
No, of course not.
When I get the pages to the script that I'm in, it's only the scenes that I'm in. It's never the full script. So I never know what's going to happen. So I'll be the worst person to ask. But hypothetically, insinuating where people are now, I feel like Nacho's going to die. And, you know, it's going to go out. I don't know. Maybe he won't. You know, maybe he will get shipped off somewhere. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's good to guess. And it's funny. In one sentence, you made the people love you for saying Kim Wexler's going to live. And then you turned them completely the other way when you said Nacho's going to die. But someone has to live. Someone has to die, right?
Sorry, guys.
It's all good. It's just fan theory. It's just a theory.
I feel like if everybody lives, I feel like if everybody lives, then it just wouldn't feel right.
No, because
you're going into Breaking Bad at this point, and you like, well, where are all these people in Breaking Bad? They weren't there, so we have to bring them to an end at some point, regardless of, you know, where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know what happened. This is the prequel, and we know what happened then. So I think it's only fair, you know. They don't try to keep us around unless they're coming back with another season to Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But as far as Hamlin, I would love to see more into his story and, you know, how it became Hamlin. You know,
yeah, a tiny bit of backstory would be nice on Howard.
Kind of raise that. Yeah, and then there's stories of him and Kim running off together, and, you know, all these different theories and stuff. But I think Hamlin was another character that I feel he was always trying to do the right thing, but may have been on the wrong side. And that's kind of, you know, where we leave. Because ultimately, I feel like he was, you know, a great guy. You know,
yeah.
He was my employer. He never treated me wrong. And, you know, and I think he really has a soft spot for Jimmy. It's just misconstrued. And so, yeah, I think he wanted to do more, but the McGill and the Hamlin wouldn't allow him to. Yeah. So
I want to see that, because I like Patrick Fabian so much as a person as well too. But I do like the character. Howard is not my favorite character on the show. He's certainly up there in the top, you know, 5 or more people of my favorites for sure. But I want to see that story arc. I want to see what's left to it. I think there's lots. Some characters, I'm not gonna give any examples, but there are some characters where you don't necessarily need to know everything about them. If they went off quietly into the sunset, okay, that's cool. But I think people like Howard, there's some explaining that needs to be done a little bit. We just need a little bit more from him, and whatever happens. But that's one of the nice things about fan theories. We just get to speculate, and until they start filming, until we get the first episode, second episode, you know, we have to do whatever we can. And there's some real great sleuths out there, detectives that are trying to put all these little things together and figure things out. But, you know, we won't know for a while. So just have to speculate and have some fun.
Yeah. And I love Patrick Fabian. He's another great guy. I've ran into him, I don't know how many times when I was living in LA. And I would go places or randomly run into Patrick sometimes.
In Los Angeles. Yeah, it's a small little town.
It was like, what?
Yeah.
In Los Angeles, of all places. And so, yeah, he's a great guy. I really like Patrick.
Yeah, he's
cool.
He's awesome. He is for sure.
You're cool, Patrick, if you're watching this or ever see it.
Let me see. Karina says
he's great. Kim's also. I'm just going down
the list.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead. You're going down your list.
Oh yeah, I was just saying I was going down the list, and, you know, Patrick, and, you know, running into him, and then with Ray. She actually, I don't know if it was season 1 or 2, but she had took me out to dinner.
Nice.
Which was really nice of her. She had took me out to dinner, and we just talked about theater and stuff, and it was. I was just like, what? You know, she's taking me to dinner. What?
Yeah.
I felt like the luckiest man on earth, and then I found out that she had a guy, and so that went out the window. I'm joking. But yeah,
so nice of her to do that.
Grace, she's great. She's wonderful.
It's funny. She's been on the show.
She even bought her and Bob got everybody. I think it was ice cream or lattes or something on set one time. They had the whole ice cream truck parked out front where you can go and get custom custard and stuff, and they would do nice things. You know, they always did stuff, and I was grateful.
Yeah. Well,
just enjoy it.
What was funny? The last time Ray was here, she was here when I had Ray on before I started Gilliverse, way back when I was just doing it on my Rock Shop show. And then when Tom started the show with me, we had Ray on. This is probably about a month ago. And to show you what kind of, I don't have to tell you this because you know how nice of a person she is. But, we started talking off the air before we went on the air, before the show started, just like you and I were doing tonight. And we started talking about injuries from like 70s furniture, like running around your parents' house and cutting your knee on a coffee table or falling down the stairs, and like how toys and things were not safe back when we were kids. And we started talking about that stuff. We could have done the whole 60 minutes, not even talked about Better Call Saul whatsoever. I lost your camera there. I got you back. Good. We could have talked the whole 60 minutes about 70s furniture being unsafe, and she would have enjoyed doing that. This goes to show you that she doesn't always want to talk about, what she does. She's so many stories that she can just talk about on a whim. A really great person for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. Here is a question from Karina. She says, do you think Ernie is the nicest character on Better Call Saul? And she says, I tend to think so. I think he'd be right up there. I can't think anybody nicer.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of... as the fans dubbed it, Bronesto. Or Ernest, bro. So Omar. Yeah. Omar was the other one.
Yeah.
He was the other one.
I'll still take Ernie. I'll still take Ernie over Omar as far as
it's really nice.
Yeah, for sure. Well, here's something that this is an important topic I'd like to talk about for a second here. We're doing great on time here, and this is just a question from myself. So, reading some of your backstory and things of that nature, I read that as a young boy, childhood was not the easiest for you, and you've kind of taken that and maybe kind of like where people would say, you can't do this, you're never going to be able to do this, that kind of stuff. And you channeled that and you basically turned it around and showed everyone, especially yourself, that anything is possible. Can you take us a little bit through your childhood and what made you focus so hard to become a success?
Well, I grew up, I'm not going to go through the whole thing because the whole Reddit is there. It was primarily my mom. I lived with my grandma for, a little bit of time with my aunts, kind of moved around a lot. School was not always my greatest. It was never my greatest ever. And so when I got into high school, upon going to high school, I joined into a gang, whatever. And then I was skipping school all the time, truant, etc. But acting was something that always interested me from 6th grade. I just wanted to do performing arts. So I got into speech and debate in middle school, intermediate. And then I joined a gang, went to high school, skipped, and all that. And my middle school, who was also a speech teacher then, became the speech teacher at my high school. And I joined the speech team and got involved in that, doing not debate, because most people were like, oh, you're a debater. It was not a debater. Only did the acting events. And I did that, went to nationals, my first time flying, going where, traveling to Boston, places that I've named, in the inner city life. And I was like, wow, every weekend I'm somewhere new, I'm flying, I'm doing, and so that kind of segued into really just me, and acting, in speech and debate, because we had judges who were always judging us every round. We're being judged. And I was like, oh, if I use that same motivation that I had then, and I take that into the audition room where I have a casting director as the judge, rating my performance or whatever, then, I know I can do this. And so I was going to Art Institute of Houston, left there, moved to Austin to do Friday Night Lights as just a football player in the background, and then got upgraded. That's where I got my SAG eligibility. Then I got tired of being in the background or whatever, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And, everybody else was like, you'll grow out of, acting, you'll get tired of it, etc. And I'm like, no, this is what I love to do. It's the only thing I know how to do. Moved to New Mexico to go to film school, Santa Fe University of Art and Design, which is now defunct and no longer exists and has lost all accreditation. So all of my time there was wasted.
Oh, no.
But not the relationships.
Of course.
And then as soon as I got here, my best friend, where I'm in his garage right now filming, he was like, we should go, before we moved here, he was like, we should go to college here. And he was like, you should, they film a lot of stuff in New Mexico, and, you'll be at an advantage, as an African-American, there's not a huge population, so it'll be easier for you to book roles, et cetera. And I thought about it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's great. So we moved here, went to film school, got an agent right away as soon as I got here, and started booking. And I was like, okay, great. And, everybody, who was in the past was like, oh, you couldn't do this, including my speech coach. She once said that, he's like, I feel sorry for you because your life is going to be really hard, because I didn't want to go to like Tulane University with a speech, a scholarship speech or whatever and all of that. It just never was my strong suit. I from elementary on, it was just hard for me to ever do homework. I dreaded doing homework and then understand it. I'm at home and I got to do work.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't want to do this, And so education wasn't it for me, and performing was everything. So did all of that, and then got to LA, and LA was hard. Did a commercial, and that was about all I did in that time. And being in LA, and then flying back here to shoot season 3 and 4. And then I lost all of my representation because, people didn't like me being a Christian. Mm-hmm. So my manager dropped me, my agent dropped me, my lawyer dropped me, and it's been hard trying to find quality representation since.
For being a Christian.
So I thought about,
for being a Christian.
For being outspoken. My manager told me there are certain Jews who run Hollywood, and if you want a career, then you need to put your faith stuff in the closet and keep it hidden.
Wow.
And I told him I couldn't do that. And so they all dropped me. And I was like, all right, well, I guess this is the end of my career. And so that's why I was like, who knows when I'll act again in the beginning, for folks who was like, what's he talking about? That's why. And that's kind of why I've just been focusing more behind the scenes and just enjoying my time with my family. I went to California and, trying to make things happen there. And after all of that exploded, I couldn't justify being away from my son. I'm a 6-year-old, and, I just couldn't do that anymore. So,
Well, good for you though, for standing up for what you believe in. And I'm a dad as well too. My boy is much older; he's 14. But I imagine if you're anything like me, very, very close to you, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he loves his mom more, but
Oh yeah,
mama's boy for you.
Okay. All right. Well, there's nothing wrong with a mama's boy. I'm a mama's boy as well too. My mom was very influential in my life. I wouldn't be doing half the things I do now if it wasn't for her. My dad was always busy working and providing, and my mom was there encouraging, like to play the guitar and do this and that kind of stuff. So I would imagine though, you look very, very young for your age. I don't even know how old you are, and I'm not going to ask you, but you do look very young. I imagine there's probably some times where you and your boy are out, and let's say you go to the comic book shop or something of that nature, and they probably think your young brother is probably is that your little brother? Do you ever get that?
No, because my son's mom, my fiance, she looks younger than I do.
Okay.
And when he was little, people were looking at me as if I was a pedophile because she looked like she was like 14 or something. And I'm like, she's older than me.
Yeah, I can show you identification.
But,
if you like. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But no, and I don't mind giving my age. I'm 30.
Okay.
I finally hit that milestone of being in the 30s club. So I'm excited.
Good.
I'm ready for the next chapter.
You look great for your age for sure. I'm turning 52 this month, as a matter of fact. And
what? You don't look 52.
Thank you. I'm going to do a Walter White or a Mr. Lambert and put the
25.
Okay, well, now you're lying. I can tell when you're lying. Well, how about we go 38?
Dyslexic.
Okay, how about we'll go in the middle, 38. I'll give you 38. How's that sound? That sounds a little bit somewhat.
I actually was going to say closer to like late 30s.
All right.
What I was
okay, we'll go with that. Once I shaved off the mustache, I don't know if you saw me, it's growing back now, but I looked much older with the mustache, I think, and the verdict's still out on that, whether we're going to do that back. But, I just want to give you credit and applause for conviction, being strong in your beliefs. And, in Hollywood, I can see that, you want to work again, keep your mouth shut. And you didn't, you stood up for what you believe in. So I greatly admire you for that. And I think that's a good role model for your boy, too.
Yeah. I've lately been watching The Crown.
Oh, I love it. I'm season 3.
I feel like Charles right now, because that's where we're at with Charles now, an adult and, being outspoken like his uncle, and the Queen telling him, no one wants to hear you. Just be quiet.
Not even her, not even family.
And that's how it feels, that's how it felt.
Yeah.
Was be quiet, keep your mouth shut, or when, you'll see it, there's people, actors out there try to make statements and people are like, why are you talking about politics? Aren't you an actor? Just stick to acting.
Yeah.
You don't need to talk, the more you talk, the less I like you. So stop, just focus on acting and the character that I like you as, because we don't care about.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like, okay, you appreciate the fact that they like you as an actor for the different roles, but at the same time, that's just a role. You are the real person. You're a human being that has beliefs. And I think sometimes if we don't speak our mind, I mean, there is a difference between speaking your mind and preaching all the time, and there's a fine line in between. But I am, if you don't speak some of these things that are on your mind, sometimes I feel like people can self-implode. I really feel like you can self-implode if you don't get some things off your chest, and maybe it's just lightly. But I agree with you 100% with The Crown. I'm at season 3, episode 8 or 9 right now, and I'm loving that show to death. I usually watch about 3 episodes a night, like we're or 3 or 4 well into the evening, and after the show tonight, I'm going to watch another couple episodes.
Yep, I'll be with you. I'll be right there with you.
It's funny. I don't mean to get off on a tangent here for a second, but I mean, since you brought up The Crown, it was weird because when you go for the first 2 seasons, you've got a different Queen and Prince, right? You've got 2 different actors playing them, and I really enjoyed the first half. Yeah. But going into the second half now, Olivia Colman, I really enjoyed her in was it Broadchurch? Have you seen that show? Okay. There's Broadchurch, I haven't. And then they did, that was a British project. It was kind of like a cop whodunit kind of thing, and they brought an American version over, and Anna Gunn played the role that Olivia Colman's playing over in North America. So it's kind of neat. So they just basically, it's almost like The Office and The Office. You know how they adapted them for American audience and the UK audience? Same thing with that show. So Grace Point and Broadchurch or vice versa. But yeah, good shows for sure. Here's a question from the chat. This is from Thomas Wayne. Here again, just more like theories, right? Or hypothesizing. It says, do you think Ernie would go along with a Saul scheme if Saul tried to bring him in on one? So if it's, Saul says, Ernie, look, no one's going to get hurt. That might be a deciding factor as well too. Got weird. This is no one's going to lose on this one. Win. Would he go in on it with them?
I think Ernie would go in with him. And I say that because when you think about it, Chuck was already hurt and at the hospital. And yet Ernesto came, and said, hey, I called him. I did it. I called him. And Jimmy's like, why did you do that? He's like, I see the way Chuck's been treating you, whatever, and you're my friend. And so I think, through it all, Ernesto, cherishes his friendships. Like, he can put work, but he can also, I think his friendships come before work. Right. He'll risk that, like he's like, oh, if I wasn't, buried in all of this paperwork, I would say we can go grab a beer, but you know how it is, So, I think he would definitely, go along with whatever Jimmy had planned for him, just based off of, the relationship and the scenes that we've shot. I think he would.
Yeah, I can see a real connection too with Jimmy and Ernie. I think Jimmy, if you look at him, he really doesn't have a lot of true friends, and that could be what makes him what he is as well too. But I think it's just unspoken. But I think he really looks up to Ernie as a friend. Not necessarily looks up to him, but looks to him as a friend. I really do. Yeah, for sure. And that's cool. Friends are very important. And I made a comment on my notes as well, too. I know we talked about this already, but this was a question earlier on Twitter from Blazy Gardner. She was saying if Ernie misses the mailroom. So I know we've talked about that, but I just want to make sure I mentioned that for her as well, too. There was another great comment here as well, and I'll come back to it in a second. So a question, too. We ask guests all the time this. When they go in to do auditions for roles, many, many times, obviously they're thrown for a loop, especially if they're trying to keep spoilers away and stuff like that. So you go in and you audition for a role, and it's it might be a milk truck driver or copy machine repair person or something, and then the next thing is it's a big role. You never know, just to keep you under the radar. But probably the diehard fans will know this, but I didn't even know until recently. You had actually auditioned for roles in Breaking Bad before too, right?
I auditioned for roles in Breaking Bad before. I think the first. The biggest audition I remember was for Tyrus.
Okay, yeah.
And I got the call back, and I went in the room, and Vince was in the room, and we did it, and he was like, great. And then they were like, you look a little young, and I was like, oh, shoot. And so I didn't get that part because I was too young. And then John Carlo did a workshop in Albuquerque. It was it was literally the day of my 21st birthday, June 10th. And he did a workshop, and I attended his workshop, and I told him that I auditioned for Tyrus, and he was like, oh yeah, and what did they tell you? And he was like, oh, I was too young. He's like, that's right. You would have been too young for that part, And so I've done that. Auditioned for that. One of the employees in Los Pollos Hermanos, boiling chicken. I've gone in for a couple of, and once it closed, when the episode, the season finished, I was like, well, I guess I won't be part of the greatest universe. Yeah. It's like, that's it for me. And then I got the call to audition for Better Call Saul. And it was just one line, it was one line, and that was it. It was a one and done, and in the mailroom cutting cake. Yeah. And that was supposed to be it. And they brought me back again. And then he brought me back again. And it was great. For my audition, same glasses. I've been wearing these glasses for probably since I moved to New Mexico in 2010. When I auditioned, they were like, "Oh, we have to have those glasses." So I think I didn't book the part. The glasses got me the job. And but it was great because I got to work with Colin Buxey. Mm-hmm. He was the director for that episode, and I've just been able to work with legends in the game. And, it's like, what on this one show, I get to work with all of these great people.
Yeah. One word turning into 11 episodes. Can you believe that? I think that's right. I think it's 11 episodes. I'm pretty sure. That's
11 episodes.
Insane. What was the one line? Was it cheers, or what was the one word?
What was the line?
Yeah. Because you cut the cake, right? Was it cut during the cutting the cake?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
All I remember is
I wonder if the fans know. It's okay. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
you just remember, because Bert says, you remember us when you're all, you're big and famous. He's like, I don't remember you now, Bert. He's like, and then I was like, yeah, you show those upstairs jack hoes,
Yeah.
And then that's when Hamlin comes and taps on the door, and I'm like, oh, shoot.
Yeah. Better get out of here. Yeah. That was
You representing the mail room, so you go up there and you show those jack hoes how it really. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, good for you, man. That is absolutely fantastic. We're getting some more comments. A lot of people loving it as well. Warren Royal says, love John and Ernie. And Jennifer says, I hope we somehow see Ernie in season 6. For sure. I mean, everyone who is a part of this show would love to be, featured one more time. Of course, we're going to see the regulars.
I know.
Yeah. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
It's funny because I remember asking Peter if Ernie was dead. Is my character dead? That dreaded question.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, nope, but do you want him to be? I was like, oh, no, I don't. No. But if I do have to die, let it be something like spectacular. My car, I blow up inside of my car or something,
Mm-hmm.
I stall on the highway, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Let it be something great,
Maybe
because I think a lot of people like that car more. It was actually fun. That car, I'm surprised people haven't asked about it, but it's.
Well, maybe someone puts maybe the cartel puts a bomb in Ernie's car as opposed to Nacho's car by mistake. They get the cars mixed up and the street address wrong, and Ernie goes up in a ball of flames. That'd be a way to go.
That would be a way to go.
Yeah, and it'll make the Nacho fans happy because he gets to live and Ernie does not. So there you go.
Yep.
I know there's people right now when the word comes up that Nacho may be killed, I don't even want to deal with it. I have some of our regular viewers here. They love Michael Mando so much that I don't even like to field those questions.
I love Michael Mando, man. He's such a great guy. I actually got off the phone with him. I want to say it was last week and a half ago. Mm-hmm. I was on the phone with him, and he was just, giving me some encouragement and whatnot. See my post that I posted about me, for a short period of time being homeless, living in my car in California, and. So he was like, I'm just doing a wellness check, man, and check on you and see how you're doing. And, and I was just telling him everything I'm thinking about, I don't want to know if I want to act anymore and all that type of stuff. And he's like, no, man, you have to, because you're great. You just got to do it. I know it's hard, it's hard for everybody, man, but he's always, spiritually grounded and, just really fully puts himself into it. Which is why everybody loves him so much.
Yeah,
and his character, because he really puts his all into it. Like I've been, on set where I may be able to, see a scene and whatnot that he's in. I'm just blown away because he really does put his all, his soul into his work.
He does. It's funny. When someone sends you a text message or an email, anything digital, you can never really. Feel what the person's saying. Like, Sandra, my wife, she'll text me and she'll say, yeah, thanks. And is it like, yeah, thanks? Or is it thanks? Right. You don't know the inflection and the what they mean by that. But since we had Michael on the show back, I think it was the second or third episode of Gilliverse. And I've talked to him many times since about planning a follow-up return. And his emails are short when he emails, but at the same time, what he says in the emails, you just feel the positive energy. And it's really weird reading an email and getting positive energy from it. But it's just the type of person he is. Always very caring, always wants to know how you're doing, and how your family is and how things are around you. And then he'll talk business. So no wonder people love him so much. But I'm glad he did that. I'm glad he reached out to you and made sure everything was good. And I can see that why he encouraged you to channel that, because all the experiences that you've gone through, from losing the agents and the management and lawyers and things of that nature, and, you know, being temporarily without a home, things of that nature too. It's really will shape you over your life. And acting, you can channel that for a rainy day and call back on that when you need it. You know, you're on a scene sometime and you need to cry right on the spot. Well, some of those things that you've just talked about can really bring some emotion.
Well, I'll tell you the hardest role that I ever did, since you said that and crying, because, well, I won't say hardest, because there's two that was really hard for me. The short film that we just dropped that just landed in 2 film festivals recently. And then the film Shot Caller,
okay,
with Rick Romanois, who does the Angel Has Fallen series, you know, of films. I play a character that gets raped. And I originally rejected the role and was like, no, I'm not going to do this. Like, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to get raped on screen. Like, just no. And then I went in and met with the director, and he's like, look, I just, you know, it's not so much about the rape, it's more about the emotion is what I want to, you know, channel. And because once you marked inside, there's nothing you can do, you know, and so I had to put me out of it, and I had to think about the people who actually, you know, went through this type of stuff, you know, have been raped, or, you know, a victim of domestic abuse in a relationship with someone, you know, and I had to use that. And it was probably one of the most emotional roles. Like, I had people bringing me tissue in between scenes, like everything was quiet. You know, Rick was coming up. Can we just do it like one more time? And then I got props from Jamie Lannister. And that was it, you know. Because I shared that scene with him, and to get, you know, Nikolaj to compliment me, it's in my book for sure.
Yeah, that's a bucket list.
That's in my book along with Better Call Saul. So
good for you, man, and taking that role on you know, on a chance. You know, you're against it at first, but I mean, you probably learned a lot about that, you know, mentally, for sure.
Yeah. It's hard, you know. Because you'll get a role or you'll get an audition and you'll read the script and, you know, and you're like, yeah, I don't know about this. You know, I don't know if I want to do this. And they say you can never play a role if you judge it. And I believe that's true. And I had to step aside and walk away from it in order to come back with fresh eyes and say, you know what, this story has to be told. And I don't care if I'm just screaming and hollering, you know, it's to shed light on the truth. And that's what I stand for, is shedding light on the truth. So I stepped back and I let the character step forward, and, you know, and I think that's what makes good work. You know, you can't play the queen, you know, if you're judging the queen. Yeah, right. She's terrible, you know. You know, Bob Odenkirk is not thinking of Saul as the worst character ever, you know. He has to, you know, approach that character with respect, because ultimately he's stepping into those shoes. So.
Very well said. Very well said. Well, you know, you're a good role model for people. I think there's a lot of things that you've done and you shared with us tonight that are inspiring for people. You know, really, I really mean that. I think you're an inspiration. Maybe as we close here in a few moments, maybe you got some young boy or girl that wants to get into acting. And, you know, you talked earlier about your education, how education wasn't necessarily the right thing for you, whether or not you'd recommend that to the next person. I don't know. You can answer that in a second. But what would you recommend for a youngster, you know, shooting for the stars, wants to be on TV or in film? A little bit of advice you could share for both educational and setting the goals for stage or you know, TV, whatever.
Every person when I was young who I asked advice told me, you don't want to do that, you know, or do theater, or, you know, it doesn't pay anything. And one guy told me, are you sure this is what you want? Because it's a lonely road and You know, a lot of times you'll find yourself without friends, et cetera, et cetera. But this is what I say, because I listened to all of the people's advice, you know, and I went against it. And I think that's why I was able to get where I am today, is because sometimes your best friends, your family, the people in your closest circle, they mean well and they mean the best for you, but they may not have the best advice. And I remember I was talking to a guy, he was a homeless guy, and he said, I used to be a millionaire. I was a millionaire and I had all of this stuff and I just gave it all up. And he's like, so I'm telling you, don't let anybody tell you what you can do if they've never been there. So if you want $1 million and everybody's saying you can't get $1 million, where are you going to get $1 million? And they've never had $1 million, then those are the wrong people to get advice from. So I say, shoot for the stars, shoot past the stars, forget the stars. Mm-hmm. You know, keep your head up, stay grounded, stay humble, and put in the work. I think, you know, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Something has to happen. You know, they say 10,000 hours. You know, Meisner says, 24 years or something along those lines to mastery. You know, just master your craft. You know, one of my acting coaches used to say, bloom where you blossom.
Nice.
You know, and so if that's in the middle of the desert, wherever you are, like I started in community theater. I went from community theater to, you know, getting an agent and going on auditions, and then, you know, while training. So when I say school in the traditional sense, a brick and mortar building, I never stopped acting, you know, training as an actor, you know, taking classes, you know, with teachers, you know, even now I'm still looking, you know, to train with people, you know, who has been in, you know, the industry and know the ins and outs and, you know, nuances to performances that makes them better, you know, because you're always growing. You know, they say that which cease to grow, cease to exist, mm-hmm. You know, so just continue to grow no matter what it is, no matter how hard it gets.
Yeah. That's great advice.
Jonathan Banks told me, and I don't know if it was just this conversation just now, because it just hit me. I remember we were at the airport. I seen him at the airport, and he said, look, don't ever give up. He's like, don't ever give up, no matter how hard, how long it takes. He's like, look, I'm an old man, and it's pretty much just now taking off for me.
Exactly.
You know, that just shows you, you know, how, you know, much, you know, time it takes, but as long as you stick with it, it will happen. You know, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
That is the phrase.
That's right.
That is the Field of Dreams, you know? So just stick with it. You know, I always say I'm going to quit, but deep down in my heart, I know it's the only thing I know how to do it.
I think we all do that. I think we all do that. I've done that with guitar a million times, you know, and that's my love. I mean, I've been playing guitar since I was a teenager. I've said it a million times, I'm going to quit. I've talked about quitting doing these shows. I'm not going to ever quit doing these shows. I'm not going to quit playing guitar. I love it. You know, but we have our bad days. We have our bad days. We need bad days. I mean, if we didn't have bad days, how are we going to appreciate those real good ones, right? We need some bad days. I mean, I don't want to go to the extreme, but I mean, we need some negativity and some pull. We need that, you know, that reaction, action and reaction, like you're saying, right? We need that. Yeah. Well, listen, as we wrap up,
we got a whole year.
I know on that. Yeah. Lots of fantastic comments as we're wrapping up the chat. Everyone's loving you. Everyone's just great advice or sharing and good things like that as well too. Let me see here. Lisa says, I could see him as a young Samuel L. Jackson and having a wonderful future and career ahead for himself. And that's, you know, Samuel Jackson is like Jonathan Banks in a way too. Obviously not as old, but, you know, relatively close. And the amount of work that they've both done, you know, and as Jonathan said, he's been in a million things. He didn't say this, but he has been in a million things. And as he told you, he's just taking off now, like, you know, with these shows, you know, and we all think he's been this massive success. He is successful, but it takes time. It does take time for sure. Here, as we wrap up, and I'm going to put you on the spot on this, and you don't have to do it. Lisa Love is saying, can you ask him if he can sing one line from Total Eclipse of the Heart?
Oh. See, I like to like warm up. Like if I know I'm gonna be singing something, like I like in the bathroom for like 30 minutes.
Yep, getting the voice and stretched and the throat.
Trying to, warmed up and stuff.
You can say no. You can say no.
Once upon a time, I was falling in love, but now I'm only falling apart. Nothing I can do. Total eclipse of the heart. I'm not going to go into the full song.
That's perfect. What a way to end the show. There you go. There you go, Lisa. That's for you. Listen, this has been an absolute pleasure. Tom told me you're going to be lots of fun. I knew you would for sure. The fans love you in the chat here as well, too. And it feels like a Friday. We usually do these shows on Friday. We're still doing one on Friday as well, too. We've got Michael Slovis on the show Friday night. Yeah. But you made it feel like Friday night tonight. I mean, you made hump day, as they call it, Wednesday. Middle of the day, let's get us over this hump of the week. You made it really fun tonight. I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. I just want to shout out to the salty dogs out there because they was like, can you make sure you say, hello, Donna Kay, all of you guys.
Say,
Ed.
You're welcome to say hi to anybody else. Anybody else you want to give some shout outs to?
Yes. Tom, hello. I'm here. I know you guys are in the writer's room. Just don't forget about me, baby.
And Tom's mom, if you're still watching, she used to watch all the time. I'm not sure if she still does, but if she is, Tom's mom, hey.
Tom's mom, hello. You raised an extraordinary gentleman. I have to say that. Peter Gould, if you're there, hello. Vince, I've seen you on here, so hello. All the cast, everybody.
Nice.
I don't want to go through names because somebody's going to feel left out.
That's right.
What? How dare he not say my name? So, the whole Breaking Bad, El Camino, Better Call Saul family, hello.
Awesome.
And good night.
I'll say hello to Peter's coming back. Peter Gould's coming back December 18th. So I think he's my last Friday of the year, I think. I got to double check the dates on that. But yeah, he's coming back, so I'll say hi for you for sure as well, too.
Okay.
Awesome. Well,
I love Peter.
I'll take a moment here as well, too, say a few thank yous as well, too. And I always have to look because I feel like I'm going to forget somebody as well, too. So obviously a big thank you to you for coming on the show and adding me as a friend on Facebook, which is nice as well.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you to our channel moderators. We're so helpful in the chat. We really appreciate you. Our channel members, our Patreon supporters, our channel moderators, as I mentioned, YouTube subscribers, our super chatters, our PayPal donators, and those that buy our merch over at broadstash.com. We've got lots of cool Gilliverse stuff over there. And I got to grow that mustache back, or I can't be calling my store broadstash.com anymore. So got to do that for sure. And tomorrow morning, sometime, or at least throughout the day, check all your favorite places for podcasts. But I'm behind a little bit. I've got an interview with Katie Cole from the other night. On Saturday, I've got the Moncada brothers, Danny and Lewis, and then we'll have this interview tonight up on all the podcast networks as well, too. So check those out and take them on the go with you. And John Christian, don't go away. I'm going to say goodbye to you off the air. Everyone come and see us Friday night. Michael Slovis is here talking all those behind-the-scenes things that we love and adore. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. And until next time, cheers.
Thanks again for tuning into Inside the Gilliverse with Eric Broadbent. Be sure to check back each week for more great discussions and interviews with cast and crew from Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends.